I've got Box CEO Aaron Levie, who has called Slack Salesforce's Instagram, as Instagram was to Facebook. Aaron, why do you describe it that way?
Well, I think there's a lot. That's obviously an imperfect analogy, but the main point was I think this is one of the most important M&A deals that we've certainly seen in many years and at least ever maybe in enterprise software. I think Slack joining forces with Salesforce is going to completely transform this part of the industry around the future of work and productivity software. I think what Slack really brings Salesforce is this modern operating system for knowledge work, where you can connect the front office, the back office, your customers, their partners, and have a common interface to be able to communicate and collaborate across all those different experiences. So I think it's very transformational for Salesforce. I think it's exciting for Slack. And I think it's great for the rest of the software ecosystem, where Slack is really an open platform that more software can plug into and create new experiences for customers. So I think it's pretty exciting all around.
Does it mean we'll see more consolidation in 2021 in this space?
I think it's certainly putting a bigger spotlight on what does the future of work look like, and all of the software surrounding the future of work. I think it's putting a bigger spotlight on the future of data and workflows across these platforms. So I would anticipate certainly more M&A going into next year. I don't know if it's an unusually high period relative to other periods. I think that what we're actually just seeing is more general awareness that enterprise software is bigger than ever. The markets are bigger than ever, and there are more disruptive platforms than ever. And so that just causes a bit of a frenzy where companies do want to join forces and be able to go after these markets in a bigger way.
But I wonder if, given that we're seeing potentially record multiples, the market keeps going up, if that slows the consolidation down.
So certainly, certainly you have to be in a position like Mark Benioff, where he's able to make long-term bets on market trends and be able to certainly pay the kinds of premiums that are necessary out there. And Mark is uniquely able to do that. He's called these trends correctly in at almost every single stage, if not every stage of the cloud. So the market is really willing to I think go along with those kind of bets. Not everybody can do that, and I think to that point that might be a one point of friction for these types of consolidations in the future. But overall, I think what this is a bigger signal of is just, again, how big these markets are. Even when we think about today in either the US or other key markets for enterprise software, we're probably only about 10% of the way penetrated when you think about modern software like Slack. So you still have this significant portion of knowledge workers around the world that need to be using these modern tools, that will be using these modern tools in the future. So for as far along in this journey that many of us are in, and these kinds of companies have progressed on, we're still very early in the total potential of the market.
What do you make of the competitive threat of Microsoft? You heard Stuart there saying he's sick of talking about it, but it seems like the threat is real.
Well, I think in Stuart's case, Slack is a very different kind of product than some of the other competitive tools out there. Slack's really an open platform for bridging together different software, different communication with partners and external vendors and internal employees. So there really isn't a perfect kind of one-to-one comparison where Slack has built something that is completely unique and disruptive, where customers do use it in a different way. And I think, again, the recognition of the market is that Slack plus Salesforce is able to now go after this market in a much bigger way. And I think that we have to sort of think about this market not in the maybe typical zero-sum way that maybe some other industries have evolved, where if one company wins, another company loses. I actually think the markets are so large that we're going to see growth from most segments of software in the coming years, simply because of how much of the world still has yet to be digitized. The amount of business processes that haven't gone digital yet, the amount of workloads that are still in legacy data centers that are going to move to the cloud, the amount of knowledge workers that are going to be using digital technologies to do their jobs in the future. For all of these reasons, we're still in the very early days. So I don't think we're going to see the same level of head-to-head competition that maybe it seems like.
That said, Slack has made the contention that Microsoft is anti-competitive by bundling some of its features with the Office suite. I'm sure this is something that Box has been exposed to as well, but is that a complaint that you would make in the same way?
Well, I think we're still very early in this idea of, what should the regulatory environment look like for big technology, both consumer and cloud. And, obviously we've seen a lot of the attention happen in the consumer space. What I think is going to happen is in the next, few years, and you need certainly a stable environment in the US political system to be able to accomplish this. We probably need to create what are the modern, rules of the road for the cloud and for the internet, and for software that's delivered over the internet. And I don't know if it's something that looks like net neutrality, but for cloud computing, where you do have certain rules around interoperability, and the kind of choice that customers can have. But we are still in the early stages of trying to figure out what types of regulations and what kind of approaches do we have to open marketplaces in the internet age. And we just are very early in trying to define what that looks like.
Now, we were just talking about how it's been or becoming a record year for IPOs. Shocking when it seemed like the world was going to end 6 months ago. Curious how you are preparing for 2021, given that, obviously will be a new administration, a new environment, potentially a vaccine. It's hard to understand why markets keep going up and companies keep going out of the gate, but they do.
Well, I think, certainly for the kinds of companies emerging publicly right now, whether it's the recent IPOs like Snowflake or the upcoming IPOs like Airbnb or DoorDash or others, I think it's, again, a reflection of certainly the excitement around digital technologies and the markets that these companies play in, and the fact that they've been, building out fairly disruptive platforms for, in some cases, over a decade. And there's a lot of interest and a lot of excitement around what that future of these industries are, whether it's the future of big data, the future of hospitality, the future of e-commerce and food and grocery and delivery. So I think what you're seeing is just a significant appetite on the part of the public markets, for who are the winners in the future economy where things do move more digital. There's obviously a large amount of capital that's available for investing in these types of businesses. So it's you have to obviously appreciate, given interest rates, where dollars are going to be going in terms of where do you get growth from those dollars. So that's also a factor that's playing out. But I think going into next year, obviously it would be great to have the vaccine rolled out as quickly as humanly possible. Really be able to open up the economy even further, obviously in a safe and healthy way, and really,
right.
see what things are now kind of back to normal and what things have been transformed forever. And we're going to see a lot of those things that have been transformed forever.